The Trump campaign is now working directly with a group whose leader has denounced Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. On Saturday, immediately after speaking at a black church in Detroit, Trump addressed the crowd at a convention organized by Turning Point USA. Earlier this month, that group's founder, a man named Charlie Kirk, announced that Turning Point was partnering with the Trump campaign on voter outreach. Kirk is one of the most popular far-right voices on the internet and has made a number of racist statements over the years. Among them, attacking MLK as a bad guy, saying the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, and questioning the qualification of black pilots. At Saturday's event, another far-right influencer took the stage and unfurled a flag that read, "White Boy Summer." That phrase was initially coined by actor Tom Hanks' son in 2021 in reference to a song by rapper Megan Thee Stallion. It has since been adopted by white nationalists and neo-Nazis, according to the Anti-Defamation League. Joining us now, Moynihan Public Scholar Fellow at the City College of New York, Christina Greer. Professor Greer, it's just exhausting. Let's just get your thoughts here on this kind of rhetoric, this kind of partnership from the Trump campaign, even as we hear on a near daily basis Trump advisors saying they're actively trying to court black voters and they think they're being successful.
Yeah, and Jonathan, good morning. I'm not exactly sure that they're being as successful as I think they are. I mean, we have to remember that most people aren't paying attention to this election, and they won't do so until late October. What is really frightening, though, is that Donald Trump and his allies are really doubling down on far-right racist rhetoric. We saw it during his first term as the president, but now he's really trying to get those people who were off, who don't normally vote and who were sort of off the grid, and really getting them mobilized and motivated. At the same time, he's going to these horrible crime-ridden cities that he consistently talks about, cities that are, have large African-American populations, and trying to either do one of two things. One, get a small segment of the population to vote for him, to support him because of his hyperbolic statements that oftentimes, when we dig through, Jonathan, have no basis in real truth, or to discourage voters to just abstain, full stop, where they feel many black voters are frustrated with the political system. They don't feel as though the Democratic Party has done enough over the years to warrant their full support, since black voters are, by and large, the most loyal voters. So all Donald Trump really needs to do is to get a small percentage of those people to stay home in major cities, like, in places like Michigan and Pennsylvania and even Georgia, and then he's got a better shot. Doubling with his constant attacks on voter and election fraud, and essentially saying, these predominantly black cities, their results should not be trusted one way or the other. So it's the typical hyperbolic statements that we've seen from Donald Trump. They're just doubling down and getting more and more vicious, I would argue, in these recent months.
And of course, all this comes on Juneteenth, when the black American experience is so front of mind. What are your reflections on this day, now a national holiday?
It is a national holiday, and I think it's interesting that, the previous national holiday that was mandated was MLK Day in the 80s, and that was, sort of a real effort by so many African-American activists. I will say, Jonathan, it's a mixed emotion for me. On the one hand, I think it is important that Americans understand Black history. Black history is American history, and we oftentimes want to just erase centuries of what has happened in this country. I do also, though, think about how this came about. This was because of demands of Black people saying, please stop killing us in the streets in broad daylight. We're asking for social justice. We're asking for equity. When we think about the March on Washington for jobs and freedom, those were the demands that were being made in 2020 in the summer of reckoning in a post-George Floyd America. And this was the result, which quite honestly, very few people asked for. They asked for something much larger than this. So on the one hand, yes, it's a federal holiday. I think it opens up a really important conversation about our past as Americans collectively, but it also does not address the very serious questions that many people had in 2020 and 2021.
And on that, obviously, we played earlier in the show, President Biden saying that signing Juneteenth into law was one of his most proud accomplishments. He has taken on some of those issues with moderate success. turning back to politics, you talked about the disenchantment so many black voters have. What can the Biden campaign do to try to make sure they don't stay home?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be the real question in November, Jonathan, because sadly, Joe Biden is getting kind of the brunt of so many decades of frustration, I would argue domestically and internationally, that so many Americans have. And so as they, utilize the vice president a lot more and have her going to various places around the country and talking to very different types of groups, I really do think, black women seem to be unmoved and unbothered by anything that the Republican Party is selling. That does not mean that they need to ignore black women, but of all the demographics in the United States, black women are essentially, the Republican Party is like, kryptonite. They cannot penetrate black women. Black men seem to be a lot more susceptible to moving. I will point out, though, don't forget, black women and black men are by and large fundamentally more likely to be Democratic than Latinos, Asian Americans, and obviously definitely white women and white men. So the small percentage of black people who are interested, at least in thinking about the Republican Party, I think Democrats need to explain not just what they have done and what they will do, but the real existential threat that the Republican Party faces, or the Republican Party is towards black people collectively. I mean, and something not just education-wise, housing-wise, job-wise, but even, we know the black communities are more susceptible to environmental racism. These are issues that Republicans, by and large, don't care about, and there's sort of long-term conversations that the Democratic Party should and could have with black voters.
Moynihan Public Scholar Fellow at the City College of New York, Christina Greer, we really appreciate your thoughts this morning.
Thanks.